So
since these are sun yogas, we're trying to stay true blue to the sequence. I'll turn the fans off because we don't need them right now. All right. So what we have as far as equipment is we have a chair and a mat and a fairly substantial cushion over here. And we're going to be using them all.
I have cushion.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, sure. Well supplied.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Okay. And the essential sequence begins with a seated breathing, and there's 6 of these, and they're a kind of qigong used to bring the electromagnetism of the sun into the body. And they're a little bit like Chinese qigong, and they may be older. It looks like, I'm going to open this window because we need a little bit of fresh stuff. It looks like these exercises are so old, they predate the development of the chakra systems in India. So they're very simple, very effective. And I don't know if you've done these with me before or not, so I'm just going to pretend that we're all starting from scratch. Okay. So you're sitting straight, either cross-legged or in a chair, and you're facing the dawn. And some of the teachers would tape a penny on the wall at the horizon line so they'd have a point to look at. So basically your eyes are resting on a point on the horizon. And ideally that point would be approximate to the sunrise. And if you don't have access to that, I've had students ask me, what if my room doesn't allow me to see the sunrise? And I tell them, try to face east because there's waves that come from the sun into the body. But if you cannot do that, it may be helpful to know that you're bringing the energy into you from wherever the sun is. There was a very old British witch named Mother Shipton, and she used to tell her students, if you want to know magic, first you have to know where the sun is at any time of the day. And so this idea of feeling where the sun is an important part of the exercise. And then you straighten your spine and you imagine that your spirit is going into nature. You try to go out into the world, into the trees, into the atmosphere of the earth. So when you're breathing, you imagine that what you're breathing is attached to everything in nature. And you get this sense of connectedness as the first step. And the word they used in the Caucasoids where this exercise was preserved, they called it Gaia Lama. Gaia like Gaia, the earth, and Lama being a kind of pervading power. They would say, breathe in Gaia Lama, like the respiration of the earth. And so that's the mental, emotional setting of the thing. And your breathing is the 7 seconds inhale, hold 1 second, 7 seconds exhale, with your eyes on a point and your imagination on nature. And that'll give you a certain brain frequency, as we know now. Back when these were originally done, of course, they didn't think in those terms. But the electromagnetic frequency around the earth is, it vibrates at the same ratio as we're breathing. So that'll be 7 seconds in, hold 1, 7 seconds out. And that establishes a certain affinity between the air that's present, the electrically charged air that's present around the surface of the earth and through the trees and around the pastures, and the air in our lungs. We actually get the electromagnetism to come into a matching charge. And so they use also color to help the process. So they begin with the color red. And while you're looking at the point, you imagine the red light is streaming from the sun into the back of the head. So you're filling the back of your head like it's a kind of a basin back here with red light while you're facing the sunrise. And then on the second breath, you imagine filling the abdomen, the lower abdomen below the navel, with this red light. And on the third breath, you imagine filling both the back of the head and the lower abdomen with the red light. And then continuing the same sequence, you go to yellow. Only this time you imagine inhaling the energy of the yellow light into the forehead, just at the front here. And then the chest. And then the forehead and the chest at the same time. And that means you lift your chest to expand the lungs. And then you go to blue, which is the crown of the head, like you're wearing a kind of skull cap. And it's a dark blue. So you imagine inhaling the dark blue out of the sun into the crown of the head. And then into the diaphragm. And then into the crown and the diaphragm together. And then we go to the color white. And white, since it's the presence of all colors in the prismatic spectrum is brought into the body to balance everything. And so we work with the face below the eyebrows, where you would see a mime paint the white face here, and the arms and the legs and the hands and the feet. So we can do the face on the first breath and concentrate on the muscles of the face. And then the arms. And then the legs, including the feet. So, since this class is being recorded, you can go back over all this and check it all. So I'll move quite quickly through them, but don't worry about the details because you can pick them up later. So 12 breaths, 3 on each color: red, yellow, blue, white, following the spectrum, following the rainbow with red, which is at 400 to 500 angstroms, going up to yellow, which I think is around 5 to 6, and blue, which is going up into 800 to 900 angstrom range. So you're actually trying to tune your optical system to see visually better and better. Blue being a color that's more difficult to see than red. But eventually you do all the primary colors. And there's a total of 12 breaths, and that's 1 breath for each sign of the zodiac. And of course, there's 4 fire signs, 4 water signs, 4 earth signs, and 4 air signs. So you're basically accounting for the signs of the zodiac with the 12 breath sequence. And after we do this first one, which is considered to be the exercise of being, how to just simply be. So you could describe the first exercise as a centering exercise. The second light yoga then is to stand and find which nostril you're breathing in, because that determines the mood of the day. And I'm in my right nostril, so I'll put my right foot forward. I don't know if I'm putting my best foot forward because I'm left-handed, but I'm putting my right foot forward, okay? And you do the same exercises, which I'll still talk you through, but when you rise on your toes, you contract the hands into fists and you tense the body, particularly the forearms. And then as you exhale, you relax the hands and you settle your heels back down to touch the floor. So there's a slight sway. So on red, when you go forward again, you think of the back of the head and you stand slowly up for 7 seconds. And then as you exhale, you relax the hands and you let your heels down. And then red into the abdomen, rising, contracting the hands, and then releasing and relaxing the hands, 5, 6, 7. And then the third breath, we'll do the back of the head and the abdomen together in red. And then release as the heels go down. And you can contract more and more muscles as you get comfortable with your balance. On yellow, inhale, concentrate on the forehead. Exhale from the forehead. And then yellow, inhale, opening the chest and rise up. Exhale, keeping the chest open, lower yourself slowly. And don't be surprised at how difficult it is. And inhale, forehead and chest, filling with the gold light. And then exhale, forehead and chest. And then blue, inhaling and rising and feeling the crown of the head. Exhale, releasing the blue from the crown of the head. And then inhaling into the diaphragm, blue. Exhaling the blue. And then crown and diaphragm, blue. Exhale, blue. White is all the expressive muscles of the face, inhaling up. Exhaling from the face. Inhaling now into the arms and really tightening the muscles. Exhale, arms. And then into the legs, and you can do the arms and the face with it. Inhale up. Okay, and that gives us 12 breaths. Standing up on the balls of our feet and releasing. So now the exercise that we did sitting, we've done standing, but it's about rising and falling, and it's about getting control of your muscles and your balance with the breath. So when you're first sitting, there's no problem because you're just sitting there, the chair is holding you. But when you rise up on your toes and you have to contract your hands, all of the balancing mechanisms and all of the mechanisms related to physical stability are brought into play. So there's a huge psychological shift. And so the second exercise that we just did is considered to be the exercise of meeting. Like if you're confronted with something and you have to rise up to meet it. And so it's connected to courage. And it has some overlap to martial arts, you know, boxers staying on their toes and that kind of thing. So that's the second. The third exercise is about seeing clearly, and sometimes it's called the exercise of judgment, but I don't mean condemnation judgment, but I mean discerning, being able to see through things. So it had the reputation of being a kind of Solomon wise man exercise or wise woman exercise. And what you do is you sit on the edge of the seat like this, okay? You can do it cross-legged if you're flexible. If not, the chair is helpful. You're looking into the light on a point. If the light is too bright, you look above or below it so you're not straining your eyes. And again, you put your eyes on a point, but when you inhale, you bend from the hips and you draw a line with your eyes straight to the floor about 15 feet in front of you. And then when you exhale, you lift your head by lifting your body, and your eyes follow that line back up to the point of origin. So in actuality, your eyes don't move at all, just your body moves. And your eyes will scan a line going down the wall to the floor and back. And the challenge is to just let your eyes naturally stare in a relaxed way, straight ahead, while the body tilts. Okay, that's your challenge. And of course, because you're looking into the light and then looking down at the floor, your pupils are going to dilate. So it's an eye exercise, and a very specific one, but it's combined with what we've done before. So if I'm looking at the point and I fix my mind on red, because we're going to address the constellations again, I inhale and I follow that line on red, and I fill the back of my head with the color red while my eyes drop down. And then as I exhale, I lift the body, and the eyes follow that color back up to the point of origin. And then we'll do the lower abdomen on red, and we inhale going down. About 7 seconds, we pause, we exhale about 7, and our body rises and our eyes come back to the point. And now we'll combine the back of the head with the lower abdomen, and our mind is on the red energy down to the point. And you may see after images because you're looking into the bright light and coming back up, but that's an important thing we'll talk about later. And then yellow, going down, following that line down to the floor out in front of you. Yellow in the forehead and coming back up, exhaling on yellow. And yellow in the chest. So the chest begins to be lifted as you go down and inhale. And exhale as you go up. And then forehead, chest, going down. And coming up. Now, just to be sure that we're all on the same page on this, when you lean forward, your back should be so straight that as you come forward, the short ribs, they want to touch the thighs. So the back is really very straight in the lumbar here. And it's related to the turtle posture in Hatha yoga. You're actually straightening your back while you're bending forward. Okay. So it's very much a hip exercise as well as a eye exercise. Let's go ahead and do blue, which is the crown and the diaphragm. And you inhale for blue. And you exhale on blue. And it's like the crown is pushing upward, and you're aware, and you can contract the muscles around the midriff here the same way an opera singer does, okay? Just imagine a ring around your midsection for the diaphragm as you inhale and go down on blue. We'll try one more. Crown and diaphragm. And up. And then we go to the bright white, the face and the limbs. You can work with the face on the first one. Softening the muscles of the face, and then going into the arms and hands and fingers on the second breath. Coming up slowly. And you can do all three now, face and arms and legs. And coming up. Okay, and then check everything. Check your crown and your neck, and your chest. See if you feel like you're really straight. Usually the hands are cupped over the knees like this. Okay, if you're wondering what to do with your hands, it looks like that. Okay, and if you're facing the front, that's it. And you can do it cross-legged or sitting, as I mentioned. So the review. The first one is the 4 colors, and it's about getting centered. The second one, about rising to meet the occasion, releasing. And the third one is about seeing through. The fourth one is about gathering and releasing energy. So this one is done standing up. So this is where your cushion will come in handy. Okay. So now you're facing the light. And you're going to use those same 12 breaths, but you're going to do movements that have some relationship to Tai Chi in China. So there's a certain commonality of movement. And the first movement is this rolling of the arm. Okay. So what I should do is highlight myself so I can see what I'm doing for you. So let me just do this. See if I can find the highlight. Maybe it's already highlighted. Let's see. Well, it's not giving me the option, so I'm supposing I'm already highlighted.
Yeah,
so
you are. You are on my screen.
Okay, good. Because I want to be sure that you see my body head to toe. Okay. So if you don't, you have to tell me. Can you see my whole self here? Do I need to move the camera back? I need to move the camera back for feet.
No.
Okay, how's that? How's that?
Perfect.
Okay, good.
Perfect.
Good. Now this first motion is like this. You find the nostril you're opening, and I'm still opening my right, so I'll use my right hand. And there's a rolling action like this, and you cover where the sun would be hitting your eyes, but you don't touch. So it looks like a water wheel, but it's combined with a little bit of a swing. So from the front, it'll look a little bit this way. Yeah, that looks good. And you can feel your scapula and your shoulder is pretty loose. And for a moment, your hand will cover your eyes this way. And so the effect is to block the sun 7 times. And it's going to be at a very specific rate. Okay. So I'll put my attention on the color red and I'll look at the point and I'll inhale 7 times this way. And then I'll pause for just a second and then I'll exhale 7. And I'll do it again. And I'll pause and do it again. Okay. On the third breath, I'll make my right hand a fist, and it looks like I'm lifting a lantern up. And I'll inhale for 7. And then I'll contract my body and my fist and stretch, and I'll exhale and punch the cushion like that. I'll continue to exhale after I hit the cushion for 7 seconds and come to a standing position. And then I'll do the other side. So looking at the center, I'll inhale 7. Hold, exhale. And again. Hold, X. And then the coach lantern, inhale up. Pause 1, stretch and contract and release and punch. That's it. And then exhale slowly for 7. Complete that exhalation. You exhale when you hit, and you just keep exhaling as you rise. Okay. Then we'll go to yellow. So that's forehead and chest. And we inhale 7 loops. We pause 1, and then we exhale. And we do it again, in. Pause, X. Then the lantern. Tense, release. Hit, exhale. Good. Reorient your body, get straight. We'll go to the left hand or the other hand. Pause, X. Pause, in. Pause, out. And lantern. Tense, release, exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Check everything nice and straight now. Check your shoulders, check your head, your neck, your legs. We're going to blue now with the right hand. X. In. X. And then the lantern. Tense, release. And then we go to the other hand on blue. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Second round. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold, out. Pause, lantern. Stretch and punch. Keep exhaling. And then we go on white, especially the face. Pause. 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 4, 5, 6, 7. Pause, lantern. 5, 6, 7. Tense, release. Keep exhaling. Now the left hand, inhale 7. Pause, X. Pause in. Pause out. Then the lantern, inhale up. Tense release. Keep exhaling, exhaling, exhaling. Okay. So, as usual, red, yellow, blue, white, but now we look at tension and release. So if I have clients who come to me and they say, I have problems with rage, I'll say, well, you need to learn how to release that. And so this act of building up energy and then hitting the cushion actually releases the rage. And sometimes this is too technical for clients of mine, and I'll say, just get a punching bag. But this is actually the proper yoga for releasing rage, because you build energy up in the ganglion and the nerve endings, and then you pop it out. So if you want to go the luxury route, it'd be better if the cushion was made of wool, okay, or an animal skin, because that absorbs energy better than synthetics. Cotton's not bad. And you can, of course, do it in the ground outside. You can hit the ground if it's soft, and it'll completely discharge the body. I knew an old woman in England, and every morning she would go out with a silver fork and stick it in her flower garden. And she said as long as she did that, her arthritis stayed away. But when she stopped doing it, her joints would ache. And I realized what she was doing every morning was discharging the static electricity out of her body. And it was keeping her free of pain. And this is sort of the same thing, but when you hit, you discharge. So that gives you a sense of what's happening. You're building up, you're discharging, and you're learning how it feels. And obviously, when you do this a lot, you get very good at it, and you'll start punching harder. So, yeah, and you'll be discharging more aggression as well. So you'll need a good strong cushion, okay, or two. Okay. So that's the fourth. Charge, discharge. And the fifth one is about feeling light or heavy. And it's connected to the law of attraction. How to bring something to you or how to repel, how to keep things away. And it is another old exercise that has some Tai Chi relation. And it's done standing. Okay. So you begin by stretching like you're waking up in the morning like this. Okay. And you hold your arms out in front of you and you push the wrist bones forward into the light. And the arms are almost locked and they kind of float a little bit like that. Okay? So you're like that. And you look into the light, and while pushing your wrist bones forward, you inhale into the red, into the back of the head and the abdomen. And you do 7 seconds pushing forward like this. It's an isometric. And then the next 7, you slowly let your arms down. And there's kind of a feeling of peace with that. And then you act like you're waking up again. And you put your wrist bones out. And you push forward again, like you're saying, stay away with your wrist bones. And you inhale into the red. And then again, you exhale and you soften the joints. And the arms come down in a very soft way, almost like someone is walking into your arms. Okay? Now, the third one is much more bird-like. So on the third breath, I'm going to face the camera so you can see what I'm doing. And you inhale and you lift the wrist bones this way and think of a baby bird. And you push them forward then and you open your wings like this. Hold 1 second and then exhale this way. And so the third one gives you a feeling of being very light and then very grounded. So the first is stay away and I'll let you in. Okay. And the second one is I'm going to fly. Boom. And I'm going to come back down to the ground. So one is horizontal and the other is vertical. So I'll do them both from the side now, but I'll turn back to check you in a minute. So if we take the color yellow, which is forehead and chest, and we face into the sun and we bring the yellow into the body, we learn to repel yellow by pushing it away. And then we learn how to accept the golden energy by relaxing and exhaling. Then we do it again. So you do 2 breaths for repulsion and attraction. Okay, then you do the baby bird. You inhale, the wrists come up. You let them go forward, you open your wings. Hold 1, and then you exhale, and the wings come back together, and then they go down. And you get grounded, and then you go to blue, which is the crown and the diaphragm. So I'll do it facing the camera now, and you can see what it looks like from here. First, you get up in the morning. Okay, and then you push on blue. Inhale, push. And you exhale and accept. You get up in the morning. You inhale on blue, pushing away. And then as you exhale, the arms soften and you accept and ground yourself. And the third movement is the baby bird. The wrists come up the sides of the body and then they go forward. You separate and open like you're opening a curtain and feel very light. Then you exhale and you bring the wrists back together and then flex the elbows. And you don't touch the wrists, but they come close. Okay. Then on white, wake up, push away, accept, wake up, push away with the wrist bones, and then exhale and accept. And then the third is to become the bird. Inhale. And now to end it, you're going to hold your breath. Just hold your breath and bring your fingers into proximity and look between the fingers here and raise them to the ceiling and see if you see any energy between the fingers. You may see something that looks like transparent bars. And then you're going to swing the fingers down and exhale by saying, ha. Yep. And when you go down, you swing the arms between the legs and you relax the back. So it'll look like this from the side. Ha. Yeah. And that's to drop the static out. Okay. So that's the fifth. And that brings us up to the sixth. And you'll need a chair or you'll need a couple of wooden poles or something to hold on to. I'll show you other ways to do it. I usually use a chair if you've got one handy, but I'll also show you the traditional way to do it.
I can bring a chair. Just give me a minute.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's fine. So I'll show you guys. The shepherds used to have a staff with a hook on the end. Some of them still do. And they had a mace. And the mace was usually shorter. It was usually about here. But it was filled with silver or lead or iron. Iron is the best one. Silver is too expensive. But iron can be magnetized. So when they used it over and over, their walking stick, which was a mace, it would become magnetized, which allowed them to do things with their blood pressure and their heartbeat. So they had a magnetized stick, and then the longer, the hook stick, sometimes it had a little copper winding on it for decoration, but it wasn't for decoration. Because when you hold copper in your hand, it starts to get warm and you start to relax. It'll help you regulate blood pressure.
Oh.
So they would have this stick wrapped in copper in the right hand. Think of the rod of Moses, for instance. Mm-hmm. And then in their left hand, they would have this shorter stick, but it was filled with iron. So they had iron in their left hand and copper in the right hand. And so they had a very particular set of tools that allowed them to control their heart and their breath. And this is what a shepherd lived with. He would walk with these two things. And they were weapons, but they also allowed him to do some interesting things like predict weather and wind direction and when it was going to come and time and things like that. We'll talk about that later. So I wanted you to see that that was the origin. The shepherds, the two staffs, and those two sticks, they survived into art. And what you'll find is that in tradition, when you have a valuable weapon, when it is outdated by technology, the weapon shrinks in size and it goes onto the altar. And so you've seen these pictures of Tutmosis with the flail and the stick, or the hook stick and the straight stick like this, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the origin point of these. Originally, they were bigger, okay? And they were used this way. And the two sticks were used to balance you when you were on the knees and you were facing the light, okay? And there's no colors on this. There's only breath control. You can add color later, but for now, there's 7 stair-step breaths. And Teresa, you'll hear me make this inhale. It will sound like this. Okay, so I want you to have the impression that as I inhale in these 7 blocks, okay, I'm trying to inhale a little more on each one. So it's an ascending pattern. That's it, like that. And at the top, after I've inhaled in the 7 sections, I'll hold my breath for 7. Okay? And when I hold my breath for those 7 seconds, I'm going to contract the perineum and the anus, and I'm going to push down slightly with my diaphragm while I'm holding my breath. And then after 7 seconds, I'm going to exhale very slowly, but I'm going to make an audible sigh, so it'll sound like this. And I'll soften my grip on the chair, and I might lean forward and soften my shoulder muscles a little bit. Okay. And then after I do that for 7, I'm going to squeeze out the extra air for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to repeat it again. Hold, push down for 7. And then sigh for 7. That's the way. And then squeeze out for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then lift again. And do another 7. Hold, lock, push down. Look at the point. Exhale for 7. Squeeze out 4. That means the navel can squeeze in a little more. 1, 2, 3, 4, nice and tight. And then inhale 7. Hold, push down. Exhale for 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Squeeze out an extra 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then inhale for 7. Push down, eyes on a point. Release. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Squeeze an extra 4 out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then inhale up. Hold, push down. Release. Squeeze out 4. Pant in 7. Hold, push down. Eyes on a point. Exhale. 6, 7. Squeeze out 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do one more. Inhale 7. Hard as you can. Hold, push down pretty hard. Let it out. Okay. And then we'll just sit on our knees and relax for a minute or two, because that one will give you some experiences. And there are some more details on it, but for now, let's just get the breathing and the compression and the release, and we'll detail it out later. And that is classified as the exercise for union with nature. So I want you to know that that's the intent After you work with the other 5, the idea is to then integrate completely so you can feel nature as a connection directly to your body. And that is the breathing sequence they use for that. So you'll get fast results from all of these, especially if you do them in order. And if you have no time, of course, the first one, where you just sit and do the colors and the breaths, is the most important one. And there are other exercises that we add after doing the first one as a warm-up or an introduction to all the others. So those are the ones that are called Arcanes, Arcanes, Arcanes. And there are 7 of those. And we are doing the first 6 for now. And they work with light, breath, and color. And they were considered a complete system. And my teacher thought it was the most simple and complete system of yoga that was left, basically, on the earth. He said he believed these actually came from Atlantis and then went to Egypt and moved between Egypt and Persia, because both of those cultures did a lot of things related to sun exercise and sun veneration. So that's the source of these. Now, the more muscular exercises that branch out of this are what I call the Egyptian yogas, because we have postures like that in Egyptian statuary. And the aspiration is to create a very straight body with a very soft muscle, which the Egyptians seem to have liked. And so we have a main Egyptian yoga at the end of the light yoga sequence I'd like us to do. And I recall you've already done the muscular Egyptian yogas with the arm positions, right?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So we usually end with 1 or 2 of those. So the one detail is when the hands are made into fists, be sure the fingernails go into the lines of the palms, like that. And we won't do all the hand exercises today, but we'll at least put the fingers in the palms and look at the construction of the fist, like that. And there's a pumping action that's generated in the forearms that allows you to create back pressure up into the chest and the heart. Okay, so be sure you warm the hands up a little here. We'll look at the other details later. And then this contraction, okay, those tight fists are put behind the neck in the back, or they touch the shoulder tops if you can, so the chest is fully open. So the basic one is basically this way, like you're stretching the collar on your shirt, opening the upper ribs. So we'll work with that one, and we'll inhale for 7. And we'll hold the breath and we'll go down. And keep holding the breath, and we're going to do a variation. And keep holding your breath and lift up. And then exhale 7. Then release. So we're not reciting the musical scale yet. We're just holding, bowing, coming up, and exhaling. So again, inhale. Bend right. Keep holding, come back. Exhale. Then rest the arms. Then inhale 7. Bend left. Keep holding, come up. Exhale 7. Relax. And if we're facing the sun, it's very bright. So I encourage the guys to look below the sun, but still feel the intensity of it. So inhale 7. Bend back. Keep holding, come back up. Exhale 7. And release. So that's probably the most basic form of the first Egyptian muscular yoga. I'll separate that from the light yogas because you're working with muscular contraction and spinal movement. Mm-hmm. But ideally, those are built on the light yogas, because what you want to do is you want to charge the body and feel all the emotional qualities of the movement, breath, and the colors before you go to the muscular system. That's the way the system is designed. I've hesitated about teaching the light, breath, and color yogas because I didn't have the one-on-one I have with Zoom. But now I have Zoom, I can walk people through them before we do the muscular ones.
Excellent.
And I can be sure that they're done right. So that's why I haven't done them. But the color breath yogas are the foundation of the muscular yogas. And they will give you insight into certain emotional qualities in yourself. So it's good for you to know that they are designed to be a yoga that integrates your emotional life with nature. So it's a very coordinated yoga. It is not a yoga like Indian yoga where you're trying to transcend nature or lift up out of the body with difficult breathing. It is an earth-based yoga where you coordinate your breathing with the frequency of the planet. So the emphasis is to be here now. And so it very much works down the center and gives you a sense of purpose and courage. And that apparently for the traditions in the Middle East was more important than transcending matter. They were interested more in how you be than how you dissolve, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I want you to know that's the emphasis, and we're going to be doing these for a few weeks all together and plucking out the details.
Excellent.
Yeah. Okay, well, that pretty much started us and ended us on time. We're about 7 minutes over, but I think you'll forgive me for that.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure seeing you.
Okay. Okay, it's good to see you too. And we'll do the same thing again on Friday, but obviously we'll detail it out further.